Left, right and centre, I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the show tonight, we are exactly 20 days away from the general election. In 20 days, it all begins. And tonight, we examine who has the edge. Key parties have started announcing their candidates, but what are their lists actually telling us? And then there is the race to stitch up alliances. Has the Congress, which finalised its seat-sharing deal with the RJD in Bihar today, got left behind in the alliance race? How much are these tie-ups going to matter to both the Congress and the BJP? And on a day when the Congress has made corruption allegations against the BJP's B.S. Yeddyurappa, a charge he has strongly denied, is corruption an issue for voters? Over the next 60 minutes, we will take a look at all these themes as we count down to the general elections. So first tonight, let's take a look at the candidates' lists. The BJP Central Election Committee is currently meeting again and is expected to release a second set of names by this weekend. What we know so far is that they've released the names of 185 candidates, and of these, 32 sitting MPs have not got tickets. 6 MPs, including a minister, have been dropped in UP, while of course the big story that had flashed everywhere yesterday was Amit Shah replacing LK Advani in Gandhinagar. Mr. Modi, of course, going to contest from Varanasi, and Rajnath Singh from Lucknow, all their traditional seats. And then there is the Congress, which is also meeting tonight. They have already announced 143 candidates. 13 of them are returning MPs. 6 sitting MPs have been dropped, but they have, interestingly, 100 new candidates. What are these lists actually telling us about the way the two main national parties are distributing these tickets? Joining us on the program tonight, we have Gilles Verniers, columnist and assistant professor in political science at Ashoka University. We have senior journalist Aarti Jairath. Pawan Khera, national spokesperson of the Congress, is with us. Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh, leader of the BJP. And Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the SP, joining us tonight from Lucknow. Let me take this question first to you, Gilles. What is the sort of big picture that's emerging so far? We still have a long way to go, but what are these candidate lists of the various parties telling you, especially given that there was so much buzz that the BJP may actually drop a larger number of sitting MPs this time?
Yeah. So the picture as of now, and again, it's a very incomplete list, but from what we know, we see that the BJP indeed has not discarded as many sitting MPs or candidates as was expected to be. It has done so more in states where it didn't perform well in 2014, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, but in stronghold states, it's actually holding on a larger number of MPs than what was expected. So far, there are 73 remaining incumbents. 32 have been discarded, but all across. So maybe the announcement about Chhattisgarh was very specific, following the state election results there. But otherwise, they're sort of sticking to
playing safer than you thought, maybe.
Playing safer, but not something very different than current practice in previous elections.
And what do you think of the Congress list? 100 new candidates, is that a high number, or is that too early to say?
Well, you would expect a party that has fared so badly or poorly as it did 5 years ago to change a lot of its candidates. So far, only 6 MPs have been discarded. A few have been retained. There are 44 candidates who contested already in 2014, but bringing new faces obviously is something that you would want to do if you want to incarnate also a challenger party or a party for change.
Well, Aarti Jairath, just so the big takeaway for many politically from the BJP's list was LK Advani, then bye-bye to LK Advani and hello to Amit Shah in Gandhinagar. Not a surprise really, because Mr. Advani has been part of this Margdarshak Mandal with M.M. Joshi and others for a while now. But what does it actually symbolize? The complete hold of Amit Shah and Mr. Modi over the party?
Well, I mean, firstly, it's obviously the end of the Vajpayee-Advani era in the BJP. Quite clearly, this is the final thing. Vajpayee passed away last year, and that was one part of it gone, and now LK Advani's political career has come to an end. So, that's really a final goodbye. And now it is very clearly Modi's BJP. It's interesting that Amit Shah is contesting a Lok Sabha election, because to some extent that is going to tie him down. Although Gandhinagar is a safe seat, But still, you know, the very fact that you're a candidate and you're a candidate for the first time in a Lok Sabha poll, it is going to tie him down. And I don't know whether he can be as hands-on in these elections, particularly in UP, as he was in 2014, where he actually, you know, helped to script that BJP wave, that Modi wave of 2014. So I don't know whether it's an attempt to kind of, move Amit Shah a little bit away from the limelight, so that, you know, then this victory becomes wholly and solely Modi's.
Well, that's an interesting theory. So you've thrown in a new theory into the ring. But Pawan Khera, just to take on the larger point that Giles was also trying to make about the need perhaps for the Congress in particular to look for new faces and not go with the tried and tested. This is an election maybe where you can afford to take a risk.
No, in fact, if you've noticed, Congress has also changed the way we choose our candidates. It's much more decentralized now. Both our screening committees and the CEC, everything has been completely, there's been a change of roles, and the way it is being done is not just, it helps to identify good candidates, it definitely helps us to bring in new faces, which we are doing now. And by and large, I have seen that it's been very smooth this time. Ticket distribution in our party, I would very safely say, has been the best in terms of the process.
No one's been banging on the doors and crying?
No, they are. I mean, of course, on every seat we have several good contenders, and each one of them appears to be better than. We saw that in Rajasthan, we saw that in Madhya Pradesh, and also at the national level we are witnessing that. Having said that, people are not, by and large, very satisfied with the way the process adopted to distribute tickets and to choose the candidates.
Well, Bhaskar Ghosh, is the BJP playing it a little safer than expected by not dropping as many MPs as one had thought?
No, actually, you know, the responsibility of BJP is more than other party, because we are almost present more than 20 states, and we are basically, our buzzword is Bikash, a buzzword is developments. So whenever we are assessing our existing ministers, so their performance throughout the 5 years is properly evaluated in a very, very technically and factually correct basis. Then after, we have got 3 tiers of decision makers are there, from district level to the state level and finally to the headquarters level. And apart from that, there is a survey which has been conducting for so many months. So all these data together, because we are, I think we claim that we are the largest and we are the most democratic party, it doesn't come to whims and fancies of any person. So once we accumulated the data, then the existing MPs and existing ministers that we evaluated, that is why you see such a drop of existing ministers also. Because we are not only promising and minimum government and maximum governance, we are also promising the quality of the governance.
No, so I mean, who are these people who are deciding on the candidates, not Mr. Modi and Amit Shah? They don't have the final word?
Not at all. There is a parliamentary board which has been quite detailed parliamentary board, and I can tell you one real example. West Bengal, for West Bengal 27 candidates, I have seen myself almost 3 to 4 days people has to wait camp in Delhi. There is a thorough discussions on different level, and finally day before yesterday,
no, but you know, I want to ask you something else, which is that there was a feeling that Amit Shah may actually crack the whip this time and, you know, go after MPs not seen as performers, and it hasn't happened that way so far. Is the BJP playing it safer?
No, we are not playing safer. We are playing more judiciously, and there is a 360-degree evaluation of each and every candidates and each and every constituency.
So you're saying it's being done fairly.
Very fairly.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, for you guys, of course, it's a much more complicated process in the sense that you have to take in so many considerations in UP with the caste equations, your alliance there, etc. What do you think these initial lists are really telling us? Another thing I found that was telling, and I want to ask Giles about that, is that at least as far as the national parties are concerned, the percentage of women fielded, at least so far, is pretty poor. It's in the range of 11 to 12%. Is that going to be different in the SP?
Well, 3 things. One, with respect to the women candidates, we believe that the power of democracy in 2019 is the women power, and as it is visible in TMC, BJD, we hope that we will be able to demonstrate our strength vis-a-vis women leadership. On the Women's Day, Akhilesh Yadav ji presented 3 women candidates that we are fielding. There will be more. Second, on candidates that BJP has fielded, this is a hopeless list. that as if India hasn't changed from 2014. The same Sakshi Maharaj, the same Hema Malini, who stand for absolutely nothing, no such thing as Vikas. And for the Vikas that BJP is talking about,
Mr. Tiwari, I think believe me, list is a family
visible
list.
in the Yeddyurappa
In the
diaries,
list, how many
is the
close to
most
family?
corrupt party that one can imagine. That, please, I did not interrupt you, please. That is the most corrupt party one can imagine, that the Home Minister of India is accused in that diary, that the Finance Minister of India is accused in that diary.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
And nobody flinches.
But
nobody bats an eyelid. What
you're
I'm
saying
trying
the
to say
BJP list
that
is
the reason
repetitive.
BJP is, I think it doesn't care about candidates. It cares about money. It has the money, and they will go with the same list of candidates and same bunch of jumlas that Modi ji mahan hai and try to impress people. But the Chaukidar Chor hai versus Main bhi Chaukidar, today in the face of this is a flat campaign. Today with this list it is proven that Chaukidar Chor hai और जितने लोग अपने नाम के आगे चौकीदार लगा रहे हैं सब चोर हैं. But आखिरी बात, अमित शाह इन गांधीनगर ऐसा लगता है जैसे महात्मा गांधी के ऊपर फिर से किसी ने असैसिनेशन अटेम्प्ट कर दिया हो. तो I think clearly it is a setup that has no morals underlying it.
Mr. Ghosh, do you want to respond to that?
Obviously, I think Mr. Tiwari has not done his homework well. BJP is that kind of party that from Chhattisgarh we are going to scrap almost all the sitting MPs over there. We have the guts because we have the largest party of world and we can afford it. Your party is a family ruled, family oriented, family dictated
By the way,
party.
just sorry to interrupt there, but like Hema Malini wasn't exactly known as the most hardworking MP, you know, in Mathura, who was going back and really serving the constituency. I mean, why she got a ticket again?
No,
I mean,
I beg to differ. If you see the frequency of Hema Malini going to her own constituency, you can put a record that okay, this is much better than even the other parties representative
the bar
there.
might be very low.
Question is that no. Firstly, the question is that we try. We cannot do is a different thing, but we try. See the Smriti Irani in Amethi. How many times Rahul Gandhi has went to Amethi, and how many times Smriti Irani is going to Amethi?
I'm going to ask Pawan about that contest.
Give an example. The head of the Congress. So, how many times he has visited Amethi, and how many times Smriti Irani?
Let me ask.
How many times has Smriti Irani won a Lok Sabha election? Jawab dijiye.
Question one. No. Question is of serving to the
Chandni
people.
Chowk.
Serving to the people. That's
I
why
just asked you a simple
we
question.
are
How
not
many
a
times has
party
Smriti Irani won a Lok Sabha election? And then I'll tell you how many times Rahul Gandhi has won the Lok Sabha election.
Your party do the politics for the power.
Okay, one second. Everyone does politics
do
for
politics
power.
for
It's not
Congress now. It should
for
be
the serving to the nation.
Before we come to that, I do want to ask Gilles this important question on the women voters. I mean, we are seeing that in terms of just the numbers, you're going to see even more women vote this time than they ever have in the past, and yet political parties are giving tickets to a very minuscule number. And so what explains this? I mean, look at these lists.
Well, yes, I mean, it's true that those lists from Congress and BJP and both parties actually are really disappointing because the main obstacle to women representation has always been political parties and the biases that they have used, against to justify, not fielding women candidates. So now we have Congress, BJP back to back at 12% of tickets. It's hardly better. It's actually slightly better for the BJP, but it's well below what other parties have been promising, well below their own commitment to implement the women reservation bill. So clearly they don't seem to be willing to put in act what they are promising to do later on. Political parties usually evoke, the same kind of, false reasons for justifying that marginalization of women candidates, that they make weaker candidates, that they
look at winnability.
That they look at winnability, that they cannot perform, the difficult task of representing constituents, doing constituency work, that there are voiceless proxies for some, male relatives. And I mean, we have data starting from Panchayat, going to the Lok Sabha, that basically demonstrates the contrary. That very often in many states, women actually tend to outperform men in a context where, as you said rightly, more and more women participate in elections. Over the last cycle of state elections since 2014, women outvote men in 17 states. It's a majority of states.
Yeah, and in fact, Pranoy has in his book actually outlined how from the first general election till the last general election, just the number of women that turnout to vote has dramatically jumped to more than 65% now, which is an incredible number.
It's a recent phenomenon post.
So then why aren't we seeing more representation of women in the tickets you're all distributing?
As you heard, Rahul Gandhi also announced 33% reservation for women in central government jobs, apart from, of course, assemblies and parliament.
But then give them the tickets, no?
Wait for our list. You will see a lot of, and in fact, we'll do much better than the BJP and other parties in terms of giving representation to women. I find myself completely out of place when we discuss this aspect. I have worked under a woman boss. My party had a woman president for the longest period of time. So I personally feel that yes, women should be given representation, and we will. In fact, today I read that over 2 crore women voters, their names are missing. So let's also question the government on how come women's names are missing from voters lists. Now that's a scam of the highest order.
And I think that's something we need to dwell on at far more length as more and more of the candidates lists come out. Let's hold parties accountable for the promises that they're making as far as women's reservation is concerned. But quickly, and I want to move on to the next bit.
This whole thing of winnability, that women, cannot get elected. Listen, there's a whole pipeline that is there now because you have women who are being groomed for political leadership in the panchayats and in municipal bodies. I mean, all these parties need to do is to look down there and they can find good women.
I just want to make a fine point here regarding the women participation. If you see the BJP women and the women of the other party mostly control the family control, you see the women, they are either remotely or directly related with the family who is controlling the party, right? In BJP, whomsoever you will find.
Is that the case for Mayawati, Mamta Banerjee, Jayalalitha?
Yeah, you just go.
Who's Mamta's family which is controlling her?
No, but whomsoever the women candidate fielded by these regional parties control family control parties, mostly related and related.
Argument, I think
and
today,
BJP, whenever BJP field a woman, right, on the basis of their merits, 100% merits, no intellect.
Half of the BJP women candidates belong to prominent political families. I'm happy to share the data with you.
He's the data.
No, but which BJP ruling BJP families? That is okay. We can say Pankuja Munde.
We're not talking about the minuscule number of chief ministers. We're talking about local dynasties.
And look, at the end of the day, even if they're from political families, they can still be capable. They can still be capable women leaders.
Ruling dynasty. There's nothing called a ruling dynasty. They get voted or they get voted out.
Let me just move on to part 2 today.
Not impartial.
Which is
you announce right now you will not give any ticket to sons and daughters of your leaders. Right now, announce it. Otherwise,
if they qualify, they will be announced. If they don't qualify, they will be announced.
No, but they say the same thing.
But today,
I need to look at the issue of alliances as well. Okay, one second. We need to move on to part 2, which is looking at the very important issue of alliances. Now, that's going to be so key in this election, whether it is for the NDA or for the Congress on the other side. That is why you saw Amit Shah dropping everything, leaving ego aside, going to Maharashtra, stitching up that alliance with the Shiv Sena, which has basically been taking pot shots at the Modi government and Mr. Modi himself for the last couple of years. You saw the BJP moving in very quickly in Tamil Nadu and getting that alliance in order there. The AGP is back with them in Assam. Now, on the other hand, you have this picture of the Congress where a perception now is that the Congress is floundering when it comes to alliances. Today, finally, the RJD Congress alliance was announced in Bihar. The RJD is going to contest 19 seats, the Congress 9. The Congress wanted 11, but they've had to settle for 9. But we still don't know how many seats the NCP and the Congress each will contest in Maharashtra. That's expected to be announced this weekend. We don't have any clarity on what's going to happen in Delhi. The talks with the left have broken down in West Bengal. And so like that, and of course we know what's been happening in UP, the question, Pawan Khera, is the Congress getting left behind in the alliance race?
When we stitch an alliance in Bihar, we are accused of. So actually, you pity us that you've been left behind. You've got just 9. You wanted 11. When we resist alliance in Delhi, or when we insist on some numbers, you say, how arrogant Congress is. Make up your mind. Some states, our state units are confident that we do not need an alliance. Fair enough, we'll go by what the state units say. Unlike what my friend would like to believe, Congress is a far more democratic party than BJP can ever be. So we are going by what the state units say. I didn't interrupt. You'll get your turn. So in Delhi, for example, the state unit is resisting an alliance and the central leadership is sort of going by what the state leadership feels. So there are, and in a state like Uttar Pradesh, which is a large state, 80 seats, There are seats on which we are very strong. Don't forget, in 2009, just 9 years ago, we got 22 seats. So 2014, 21 seats. No, we also won the by-election. 2014 was a freak election. Let that not decide the strength or the weakness of any party. Because BSP, SP, Congress, everybody
so
got
let me
wiped
ask
out.
Gilles about this. Is this brave talk by the Congress? How much our alliance is going to matter, and for whom will they matter more?
Well, alliances are fundamentally important in this election because with the electoral system that India has, the distribution of votes and the level of fragmentation of votes among cross parties is what determines the conversion of votes into seats. The BJP could convert 31% of vote share into a majority of seats because the opposition landscape was very fragmented, everyone going on their own. And so those aggregations at the state level are crucially important. The BJP has understood that, and I think we got it completely wrong, or we get it completely wrong when we present these elections as BJP versus the opposition. There is no the opposition, and I would even say there is no the BJP either, because quite savvily they have been building or rebuilding, patching up with regional parties, and they actually are going to these elections as a consolidated NDA, which basically announces already the composition of the coalition they will most certainly have to make.
Which is a very different way.
Congress, on the other hand, tries to maximize its gain at the cost of getting in the way of other parties' candidates who objectively have a better chance at defeating BJP candidates and the BJP as a whole. UP is a case in point, really. What can the Congress hope to do? Maybe if it wins 2-3 seats, maybe if it increases its vote share from 6-7% to 15%, this is not going to yield a lot of seats. And the cost is they're going to dent into the vote base of the alliance, and actually are paving the way of a better result than the BJP probably would have got otherwise.
I'm going to ask Pawan about that, but taking off from what you said, I want to ask Ghanshyam Tiwari about this, because Akhilesh Yadav actually went on record, Ghanshyam, just a few days ago saying it seems that the Congress is actually working for its own interests rather than wanting to defeat Mr. Modi. Now, is that the sense that you all are getting sitting there, that the Congress is fighting this election looking at 2024 in mind, not this election?
Well, the answer is no. Well, what Akhilesh Yadav has said is a good analysis of the situation, but our focus is entirely on the election now. This is an election which is clearly a binary between the bad governance of Yogi Adityanath and Modi ji and the complete failure of BJP versus
No, you are focusing on this election. I'm asking, do you think the Congress is focusing on this election? You think the Congress is focusing on this election, or it's looking at its resurrection in the long term?
I think Congress is currently caught between this binary. So it is for Congress to see what they want to make out of this binary. But for us, we are not over analyzing the Congress situation. We understand this as a fact of this election, that Congress is a participant, but our focus entirely is on in exposing Bharatiya Janata Party, defeating it, because we have strong public support. So we are going ahead with the momentum of the election. I am not evading your question. What I am trying to say is, it is not our focus to analyze Congress. Our focus is to win this election, and we are at it.
Okay, but Aarti Jairab, before I get Pawan to answer that, what's the sense you're getting? This is the new buzz in Delhi right now, that maybe the Congress is trying to play a longer term game, which is why Priyanka Gandhi was brought in so late to take over UP, that this is not about necessarily winning in 2019, but about looking at strengthening itself before the next general
Absolutely.
election.
I think the Congress is, after it won those 3 state assemblies in December, I think suddenly it's developed these ambitions of revival, and they want to bring their numbers up from 44 to whatever, and they're trying to ride on the backs of these regional parties to, draw strength from their strength to revive themselves. What they're not understanding is that in the process, they're actually destroying any chance of a united opposition fight against the BJP, and the BJP always gains when the opposition is divided. Historically, through elections, you see, whenever the opposition is divided, the BJP gains. The BJP finds it very difficult to handle a united opposition. So, I really don't know where the Congress is just sort of caught between its own contradictions, and it's not being able to think clearly. Look at the way they've got trapped in this whole argument over Pulwama and Balakot. I mean, instead of concentrating on real issues like jobs and rural distress and focusing on stitching up their alliances as quickly as possible, they're going on arguing. Even today, Sam Pitroda has talked about Pulwama. For what?
Yeah, no.
I mean, completely unnecessary.
Let me ask Pawan about this criticism that you're hearing. You know, I mean, even your own friend Ghanshyam Tiwari saying you're caught in this binary.
Even Aarti is a friend. The issue here is you cannot treat any state in India today as a monolith. Uttar Pradesh, when you talk about Uttar Pradesh, please talk about 80 seats. Every seat has a different reality on the ground. And having said that, on seats where we can consolidate our mass base, it's our duty and our right to try and do that without, of course, causing any damage or harm to our alliance partners or
But you
prospective
are
alliance.
causing damage to your alliance.
No, we are not. They know it. I mean, we can't sort of talk everything here. Ghanshyam knows it as well as I do.
That's a great vote of confidence in your candidates.
I don't know, you know, you're confusing
Number
the
two,
electorate, certainly.
No, there's no confusion. The voter is far more sorted out than you, I, or any one of us is collectively here. So let's not bring the voter in here. Number two, you're talking about issues. Internal security as a failure is a huge issue in this election, and we should take it head on. It's just as bad as unemployment, as bad as farmers' distress, as bad as the economy. Internal security has been a mess. 176% rise in terror attacks, 93% rise in deaths of our jawans is not a joke, and it cannot be not be an election issue. It is an election issue.
Mr. Ghosh?
Yep.
Is
So
it
here-
wrong for the opposition to ask questions about national security, internal security failures? Why shouldn't these be issues?
Obviously, I think opposition is left with no other issues other than asking that how many bombs was dropped over there and how many dead bodies was found and what time the bombs was dropped.
Well, they're asking because the claims were made by
talking
Amit Shah
about-
that 250 people were killed.
Yeah, of course, I'm coming to that.
250
First
terrorists
of
were
all,
killed.
first time ever in this country, the whole government is responsible for giving the detailed note of what military actions have been taken place in both the cases. Now, Pulwama is a very unfortunate incident. Now, today, Pulwama incident is totally been politicized by the Congress and other oppositions. Now, my question is,
How?
when is the question of internal security?
No, how did they politicize
I'm
it?
talking about. When against Pulwama, the first time Indian Army or Indian Air Force has crossed that international the border. So, as well as LOC was crossed during surgical strike. Now, they are asking the details. Even Mamata Banerjee has asked that how many dead bodies was found.
Why did Amit Shah talk about 250 dead bodies?
Question is that if Amit Shah has talked 250 dead bodies, right, there must be some sources. But my question is,
He's not a part of the government, is he?
No, he's not. That's why I'm asking.
250 dead bodies when Mr. Amit Shah has talked about, right? And it is not only government who can talk about it. Today, your government, your
But if-
non-government.
So if
government
Amit
is
Shah
talking
can
about
know, so can I.
Coming to internal security.
No, but can I ask you, Mr. Ghosh, that is it wrong to raise the election as an election issue? The issue of why our security establishments keep getting hit by terrorists again and again. It happened in Uri at the army camp. It happened in Pathankot at the Air Force station. It has happened now in Pulwama. Yeah, but these are the
Gurdaspur.
three very major ones. Now, if the opposition says, why are these lapses happening? That we need to strengthen our intelligence. If citizens ask that question, what is anti-national about that?
Absolutely. The answer is, if you are counting on number of hits the terrorist has done or has made on this different establishment in last 5 years, you compare these with last 50 years.
but that's not the point.
One
Yeah, we
second.
can compare. Let's
Every
compare.
time,
Let's
every
not.
time, every time.
Every attack is
No, but
dastardly.
every attack has taken places for whatever reasons. I mean, but we have an immediate retaliations. Government is not not sleeping on the sleeping bag. You know, government is responsible for any countermeasures taken. And today, if the countermeasures taken, that opposition is asking that how and how many bombs was dropped, what is the weight of the bombs, and why he was released, and all this.
What about
But
preventive measures, Mr. Ghosh?
absolutely,
Shouldn't the government take
I'm
preventive
coming to the
measures so
preventive
that these
measures.
strikes don't happen?
These, first of all, today there is highest number of deaths of terrorists for last even 3 years. You see, We have came out of the power.
We haven't had a Pulwama-like attack.
But you know, I don't want to make this
Pulwama
debate
actually-
about
Yeah,
Balakot
no,
and
we-
Pulwama because we've done that. We've done that. But I
We
want to
don't
ask
have
Jeet,
Balaghat also.
is there any research that actually tells us what resonates the most with voters? I mean, we've come from talking about alliances to issues, and I'm going to come to the corruption issue in just a moment. But is there something that's that stands out among voters in particular, or is it bread and butter issues that will matter most to voters, which is jobs at the end of the day and farmer distress?
Well, I mean, the honest answer is that we don't have very good instruments to figure out what exactly people, attach the most importance of. But my sense is that, and from the existing survey data that exist in previous cases, is that large aggregate or national issues are not necessarily, indefinite substitute for daily life concerns. And over the past 4 or 5 years, and if you can put it in the longer timeline, also to be fair, joblessness, precariousness of jobs, slow growing income, healthcare, access to education have been, daily concerns that, people worry the most about. And so, of course, national issues, national security do matter, but not as a substitute.
So, in a way, what
daily
I'm
life
asking
issues.
also is that when it comes to winnability, is it going to be the alliance arithmetic that will matter more, or the issues that will matter more, or both?
Well, it's necessarily a combination of both. And if elections were won on the brilliant basis of arithmetics, you could predict election results, very easily. And what we know from the data is that at the most granular level, the polling booth level, voters tend to change their electoral behavior very regularly between elections. Which means that this proclivity of rejecting whoever has been elected in power at various levels, anti-incumbency, is very, very strong. The data that we have shows that the turnover of MPs is basically on average 60% over a long period of time. That's a huge turnover and a strong indicators that political parties have the greatest difficulties satisfying the electorate, and that regardless of aggregate results or performance of political parties, anger is usually
directed against the establishment.
Against,
Quick last question on this subject, Aarti. I mean, just since we had Gautam Gambhir joining the BJP today, does all this stuff matter? Does this play out well with voters? I mean, you've seen over the years film stars, sportsmen,
and some have won and some
have done
lost.
really well, some have not.
But honestly, Nidhi, every time we go out on the campaign trail and we talk to voters, all of them, without fail, raise bread and butter issues. They talk about their problems, water, roads, schools, and every one of them says that we will vote for the candidate who will work for us.
Now, so I'm asking now tonight about whether corruption is going to be an issue in these elections. The Congress has been talking about Rafale for the longest time. They claim that there is a money trail here, that there has been no evidence of that. But you also saw today the Congress accusing B.S. Yeddyurappa, the former Karnataka chief minister, of paying bribes to senior BJP leaders. The BJP has said that this is a complete web of lies by the Congress party. The Congress has said that the Prime Minister needs to answer for this. They claim that Mr. Yeddyurappa paid some 1,800 crores to the BJP leadership. The BJP has, again, as I said, and Mr. Yeddyurappa himself strongly denying that, calling this a complete falsehood. The Congress claims there was a diary which has recorded payoffs by Mr. Yeddyurappa in January of 2009, that each page of that diary was signed by him. The BJP says that these are again false claims based on loose sheets of paper. Interesting, and this is one thing I actually haven't understood, is the Congress saying that the diary was seized in IT raids on their leader, D.K. Shivakumar's house in Karnataka. I don't understand why that diary would have been in Mr. Shivakumar's home in the first place. So let's hope that the panel can give us some answers on that. And that the Congress claims that the IT department had this diary since 2017 but didn't probe it. The BJP saying a similar diary was seized from an aide of Mr. Siddaramaiah, the former Karnataka CM, that talks about payments to Sonia and Rahul Gandhi. The Congress at the end of the day basically demanding that there should be a probe by the Lokpal. Just want to mention here that we cannot independently verify any of these documents that the Congress party showed that was based on an article published in the Caravan magazine today, but this is how the political battle over this played out today.
The authenticity of this diary, which is supposed to be signed each page by Shri B.S. Yeddyurappa, prima facie reflecting corruption of 1800 crores up to the top-notch accolades of BJP leadership has to be investigated.
The net upshot of all this is that Congress party is desperate. And in view of the imminent defeat starking at its face, Congress party has lost its balance. Will the Congress party now do its politics only on false, lies and misrepresentation?
Congress leaders have realized that their defeat in the 2019 elections is imminent. They have lost the battle before it began. To be frank, all the issues being raised by Congress, including one raised by them today about alleged payment of crores of rupees, has been already inquired and found that documents are fake. I am discussing with our senior advocates to file a defamation case against the concerned person also. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Well, I want to ask Mr. Ghosh first, about this. On the eve of the elections, how are you seeing these charges that are being levelled against Mr. Yeddyurappa?
If I go back to the timeline, go back to memory lane, Jain Hawala Kand, Jain Hawala Diary was the same kind of concept was there, which was floated, and to just before election, the same concept is there. When they cannot win it on an competitive ground, on an realities, they start alleging Yeddyurappa. He was also allegated before also. You remember 2012, there was allegation, there was
But now you have a Lokpal, so maybe the Lokpal can probe this, no?
See, whatever a Lokpal or Supreme Court, the process of inquiry or investigation is same. If it does CBI, because the evidence to be collected, evidence to be...
No, but the Lokpal is now the sort of anti-corruption big watchdog
over
all of us.
First of all,
now that it is
first of all, you have to prove it's a corruption. To prove the corruption...
No, but that's for the Lokpal to see.
No, that's what I'm telling you. If a Lokpal comes, nothing big will happen. If it is a totally hoax, any Lokpal comes or any authority comes, it will be the same result.
Let them determine if it's a hoax.
My question is that if it Lokpal will do it. Yeddyurappa has given a statement today that the entire allegation is a baseless and fabricated with ulterior motives. And if the Lokpal comes, if it is needed, because the Congress government is there, of course. There's a
national Lokpal now.
Yeah, but the government is there, your government is there, and they can take any decision, they can hand over to anyone. We are ready to face any kind of things.
On the other hand, Pawan,
we don't have anything
many
to hide.
would argue, and the Supreme Court, by the way, has already said
let them first answer.
The diary,
12 lakh crores of corruption.
Diary entries by themselves don't really mean anything, which is true. I mean, tomorrow I can write a diary that I gave 20 ice creams to Aarti Jairat. It doesn't mean that she actually took them, right? So I'm just saying that what is the hard evidence here that goes beyond diary entries?
And one more point here. Today is a digital age. Nobody writes it. Digital age. Nobody writes, right?
Know that. The first time when we heard about this diary was on a stage when Anant Kumar and Yeddyurappa were discussing this with the figures. They came on record. They forgot that the mic was on. I'm also taking you down the memory lane. Fact of the matter is, when it came to Yeddyurappa trying to buy MLAs 2 months ago, we sent the audio for forensics. Why didn't you send the audios in Goa for forensics? Shows your intent. Goa also we had an audio between a journalist and an MLA and a BJP minister. You should have sent it to forensics if you are so clean. The issue here is whether it's Birla Diaries, Sahara Diaries, whether it's ONGC being bled to death, being forced to put money in GSPC, whether it's Rafael, whether it's IL&FS, everywhere you will see a role of this government. They cannot now sit and say that, okay, 12 lakh crores, prove it. You had 5 years of your government, you never proved it.
The Supreme Court in the Birla Sahara diary specifically said that this is not enough evidence. A diary is not, a diary entry doesn't cut it.
Politics is all about perception. In the popular perception, Mr. Narendra Modi, who sat for 5 years, and did not appoint a Lokpal
on the right time,
will now keep the Lokpal very busy. In the next 5 years, we'll keep the Lokpal very busy. There are so many pending issues. May I please? I didn't interrupt. May I be allowed to?
Perception is part of it, but if you're making an allegation as serious as the one that's being made against Mr. Yeddyurappa, explain to me a couple of things.
I have a small point.
No, just two
My
things.
major concern here is, and I'm very upset from the bottom of my heart. Why did you just give 50 crores to Advani ji? He's such a senior leader. have some respect.
Who has
No,
accepted?
one second,
Have
one
you
second,
seen
one second, one
the
second.
transaction?
Let's not make
That is
let's
a-
not
that
make
is a
allegations
perception
where
Congress
the
creates on the right
no, no, no.
before the election.
I just don't want allegations to be made. No. Let's not make allegations.
cannot, I object.
The people who are being named are not here to. They are not here to
frivolous
respond to
objection.
that.
I'm just quoting from the diary.
No, I don't know whose diary
Whose
that
diary
is. That's
it is,
my
who has
point.
You
written?
can keep issuing
One
those
second. No, no.
caveats, but the fact
We
of the
don't
matter
know
is the senior leadership
those
should be
leaders are
respected.
not here to answer for themselves. So I'm asking you this. Firstly, why would this sounds? I'm just asking you as a common person. Let me ask Aarti this. Does it make sense that Mr. Yeddyurappa would go and sign every page of this diary and say कि मैंने इसको इतना दिया, इसको इतना दिया, and then why was this diary found in DK Shivakumar's house?
That is a really peculiar
I don't get
thing,
that.
very peculiar thing. But you know, Nidhi, to get back to this whole thing of his corruption and issue, which is the question you started off with, you know, to make corruption an issue, and it's not that corruption has not been an issue in elections in the past. We saw that, 2014, 1989. But to make corruption an issue, there has to be a build-up. You can't, on the eve of the first day of polling, just 20 days away, suddenly rake up, you know, Yeddyurappa's corruption and say, look, he's corrupt, he's corrupt, he's corrupt. It doesn't work like that. The build-up to the UPA's
They're going by
corruption...
magazine report.
No, the build-up to the UPA's corruption began in 2010, 2011 with Anna Hazare and, you know, the
just
CAG
built up from
report.
there.
And it built up from there. The Bofors scandal, it was first broken in 1986. Or 87, I think.
87.
Yeah. And it was built up from then. So, you know, the problem with the opposition is that if they actually wanted to make a corruption an issue, they should have raised it 2-3 years ago. They should have pulled out some scandals and done it. But either there are no scandals or they just haven't had access to those scandals. And that's why corruption, I do not think, will be an issue in this
same as
election.
Rafales. Today, what kind of
Yeddyurappa's
irregularity is there in Rafales?
Started about
And this
6
is a
months ago.
10-year-old
Actually,
case.
they
when he
believe-
got his
This
tapes.
is a 10-year-old case,
Let me
2009.
finish. So, the fact that Yeddyurappa was trying to buy our MLAs is in public domain. There were audio tapes. We've sent it for forensics. The fact that Rafale was picked up, say, about 2 years ago and we kept at it, more things coming out, they have been coming out, is also public domain. So, corruption, Aarti, becomes an issue when there are other issues also. In UPA, there were several other issues, including our arrogance. Therefore, corruption, right or wrong, became an issue. In this government, failure on every front, rural distress, unemployment, overall economy, the health of the economy. Therefore, corruption is also a major issue, especially when it comes to Mr. Modi, Mr. Amit Shah, and the kind of money they have been spending, buying MLAs, forming governments. It's for everyone to see. Every district has a BJP office now and an RSS office now. Where is the money coming from? People, after all, by and large, people know. People now will not forgive them for demonetization also.
Well,
And
that
Mr.
is
Khera,
a
don't
separate
forget,
story.
where the money comes from National Herald, you have to answer first. Then we'll
अरे साहब
answer.
हमको तो जो
then-
जवाब
then-
देने हम दे रहे हैं
नहीं,
अभी
then
तो आपसे सवाल
we will
पूछ रहे हैं
we will answer when we
1200
got the
करोड़
money
का
for
ऑफिस बन
creating
गया
this.
आपका 7-star होटल से अच्छा तो ऑफिस आपने दिल्ली में बना लिया 1200 crores. Where did you get it from? The only project which got completed in time is your BJP national office.
Anyway, Giles has a thought on this.
Yes, well, I just know that, you know, every gangster or narco movie, there's always someone keeping a ledger. But that being aside, and regardless of whether these allegations are true or not, obviously we don't have the fact. But what it illustrates is the fact that the funding on political life in India takes place in total opacity.
Absolutely.
The expenses that parties provide are completely underreported. It's no one's secret that political
That's why we have
activities
inducted electoral bonds.
Oh, that's a disaster which we'll come to later.
Which have institutional.
No, I love to debate on that.
We'll talk about that next week. Supreme Court hearing on
Anonymous
that.
I book myself for that.
Legitimize anonymous donors.
Yeah, exactly.
Not anonymous, protected donors.
Why protected?
We have the
Why shouldn't the
in
public
what?
know who's donating money to a
to
political party?
defrain from the wrath of the opposition.
Why? What wrath
If
of the opposition?
if the donors
agencies
are
are not under
exposed
the
when they come
opposition.
to the power,
We should know how
who
all
will
parties
protect
are
them?
funded.
Who will protect them from the
but
the
we
We are
wrath?
going to have a separate debate on
They have a
electoral
KYC.
bonds, I promise you.
They have a
We
KYC.
really
No,
should
we will.
actually.
And every bank has
We've been
got-
trying to do it
This
this
is a
week.
big scam.
In what
It's a
alternative
really big
reality
scam.
does anonymity of donors be in favor of transparency? And even the numbers that are published officially through the electoral bond are way below the amount of
Actual
cash
money.
that is still going, that is still fueling electoral campaign and political expenditures.
In order to
between
protect that,
elections.
we have a limitation of 15 days validity of these bonds. Number one, it is KYC complaint.
It's actually 1 month.
No, but within that period of
like I
50
said,
days
there's
to
going to
1
be a
month,
separate debate on this.
yeah.
There's a Supreme Court hearing on it as well, because there's a lot of problems with that issue. Then last comment, Pawan, which is that is it better for the Congress to stick to the bread and butter issues then of jobs? Because you, more than anything else, that is something that is a weakness of this government. And why isn't the Congress doing more on that?
Of course we are. In fact, the people of India force their political parties to stick to their issues. Congress is no different. We are sticking to their issues. Every day we are raising the issues. Of course, the media doesn't cover it. I'm not blaming your channel. Generally, I'm talking about the media. They love sensational issues. Fair enough. I mean, so be it. But on the ground, all our leaders are constantly talking about the issues on the ground, which is unemployment, which is rural distress, which is Chota Vyapari. All these issues are the issues. Much though the government is trying to run away from these issues, hiding behind somebody's comment here and there.
I don't mean in a generic way. The way Rahul Gandhi calls press conferences on Rafale, why doesn't he do it on NSSO? On the jobs data,
of course,
which is being suppressed.
All our other leaders, everything Rahul Gandhi shouldn't be doing. All other leaders are talking about it in our press conferences. We are constantly raising these issues.
How can you not talk about this?
Nothing gets carried in the media unless it's sensational. Ask yourself, not you. Ask the media.
Actually, Rahul
Jobs
Gandhi
is
is
a
more
headline
scared about
everywhere.
Chowkidar because Rahul Gandhi is a chore.
Hey,
so that
don't talk like this.
Then
Don't
okay,
talk like
fine.
this. Otherwise, I'll
then
start.
your Rahul
Let
Gandhi
me start
talks.
talking
Chowkidar chor hai.
about your choris.
Okay,
your choris.
because he is
don't
scared of that 12 lakh
अरे शिवसेना ने आपको चोर बोला, फिर भी आप वहां घुटने टेक के चले गए. शिवसेना अभी भी बोलती है आप चोर हैं. उनसे जवाब उनसे आप हाथ मिला दी.
वो चौकीदार से चौकीदार रहता है और चौकीदार जब चोर को पकड़ लेता है.
Okay, no. All right, okay. All right, nobody is a chore. Okay, guys, this was so good because we actually managed to have a civilized conversation for about 44 minutes and 30 seconds, and that was really good. So, let's leave it on that sort of colorful note. Thank you very much to all of you for coming in.
Thank you.
Lots to look forward to in the weeks ahead. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after that, where we'll show you what it was that the Congress's Sam Pitroda said today that had the entire government, starting with the Prime Minister, up in arms. That's next.